So what do you think? Does truth really matter? Do people really care about the truth? When I was in the second or third grade, a little girl in class brought her father's arrowhead collection to school one day, and it was a fascinating collection. I loved it. I was really taken with the American Indian. I wanted to know all about what they used the arrowheads for, the various shapes and sizes. One particular arrowhead jumped out at me, and I just loved it. It was a larger arrowhead. It was obviously meant to kill larger animals, deer, bear, something. And I wanted that arrowhead. I was a good kid. I always followed what my parents said to do. I minded my parents. But I wanted that arrowhead. And so when the class went to lunch, I was the last one out of the classroom, and I walked over and took the arrowhead. I felt so bad about it, but I took it. Went to lunch. The rest of the day I felt so guilty. Went back to the classroom, and no one noticed it missing. The next day, though, the teacher had discovered that it was missing, and she asked us each one by one, if we had taken that arrowhead. And of course, everybody in class, including me, said no. Then the principal came in. It was a serious thing. And we were lined up in a row, every one of us. And the principal said that if we were lying about this, that our ears would turn red. Well, mine started burning. I knew they were on fire. And she got down and looked at each one of us and asked us the question, did we take the arrowhead? And somehow I passed that test. On my way home, I had to make up a story for my parents because I knew they would find it. I told them that I found it in a plowed field that I walked near on the way walking home from school. I don't know if they believed me or not, but it seemed to pass muster. Did truth matter in that situation? Well, I don't know who truth really mattered to. I know it mattered to the little girl that her arrowhead was missing. I knew it bothered the teacher that one of her students was a thief. And it bothered me that I had taken it and kept it a secret, and that secret was burning a hole in me. Truth mattered to me. I wanted to tell the truth, but I couldn't because then I would be seen as a bad person, and I was never seen as a bad person. I didn't know how to do that. So I kept my mouth shut. Did truth matter? It mattered to me. I think sometimes truth does matter. Sometimes people don't care. At one time, everybody on earth thought the earth was flat. You had people all the way around the globe, I'm sure, thinking the earth was flat. Why? Well, they were probably told that it was flat, that there was an edge that they could fall off somewhere. I don't know. I know that when they walked, it seemed flat. And walk a mile, it was flat. Walk 50 miles, and it was flat. So they believed the earth to be flat. Now that wasn't the truth, the ultimate truth, but it was their truth, and it was their best truth. They assumed the earth to be flat, and it felt like it to them, so that was their truth. It wasn't necessarily deceptive. It wasn't dangerous. It may have been all that they had. It was their truth. And then consider the COVID outbreak that we went through recently. So many had so many different ideas about why it began, how it began, where it came from. Some people even denied that there was a deadly virus. Many people denied that it was actually taking people's lives. And what's sad about that is we were not even sure if we could trust what our government was telling us about the COVID virus. Anyway, we all listened to various authorities and various ideas. We accepted what we wanted to accept, and we rejected the rest. Some were positive that they had answers that were different from other people's answers. So whose truth was truth? Some believed the vaccinations to even be dangerous and didn't take the vaccination. Some did. People picked ideas, they picked sides, they chose authorities. They either got the vaccination or they didn't. We tried to listen to the best scientific community's findings and recommendations, and most of us went with what we believed to be true, given the resources that were at our disposal. We chased truth in that situation and came to our own best truth, realizing that they may not be the truth at all, but we had our best truth and we followed that. Did truth matter? It mattered to some people. If there really was a COVID outbreak, well, that was taking people's lives. Well, the people who lost their lives, it mattered to them as they were dying, mattered to their families. Does truth matter? Well, maybe sometimes it does, and to some people it doesn't. Many people, I think, don't care about the truth. Whatever's in their head, they go with it. Maybe, I would present this to you for your consideration, maybe most people really don't want to know the truth. And I don't think they do. Most people don't want to know the truth. If they tell you they do, don't believe them, because they don't. Most people are not even open to hearing an idea that is different from what they already believe. Don't even want to hear it. How absurd is that? Definitely not into searching and discovering new truth. But seriously, people do not want truth, but they do want something. So what do they want? They want for you to tell them that what they already believe is truth. Crazy, isn't it? They're comfortable, cozy with where they are, with what they believe, and they want to stay right there. Do not confuse them with facts. Do not try to introduce some new idea to them. Do not try to show them something that is beyond what they believe. It will just cause ill will, or worse. Let me make this perfectly clear. I am not trying to persuade anyone to believe any particular truth. I'm not trying to change anybody. I just want to challenge us all to test what we do believe and make sure that that's our best truth, the best truth available to us with the resources that we have. Chase the truth. I spent 33 years as a pastor trying to persuade people to believe what I understood to be the truth. And I'm sure much of it was. Now, as a retired pastor, though, I want you to challenge what you believe. Challenge it. Test it. Come to the point of understanding that what you believe is the best truth available to you. That's my goal. How do we come to believe what we believe? Oh, families have a huge impact on us. Many things that they teach us from childhood are true. A bunch of them are not. Some of them are unhealthy. Some of them are prejudices that we get stuck with for the rest of our lives many times. And then there's religion. Religion is a huge culprit for me when it comes to discouraging us from seeking truth. Doesn't matter which religion it is, or sect, or denomination. Religious institutions expect that we believe what they tell us to believe, with, I believe, the final effect to even be able to control us. And I would ask the same of science. The theories that you put forth, don't just test them and try them, but keep testing them. Keep open to what may come along as an understanding for deeper truth. than what your theories hold at the onset. So anyway, we believe what we believe because we have been told to believe it. We've been programmed to believe it. The system has fed us information and has told us that it's the truth, and we have accepted it. We've embraced it. So we've been programmed to believe it, to feel it, to think in a particular manner, to process information in a particular way. We've been programmed by religion, by family, by education, by government, by peers. And we might even call it, in some situations, brainwashed. Seriously, there's some truth in that. And here's the kicker. The people who taught us these things, they believed them to be the truth themselves. And the people who taught them, they believed them to be the truth also. They have all been programmed. I think that one reason that people don't want to be bothered by the truth is that they are intellectually lazy. Really, we are. Chasing truth is hard work, either lazy or in denial of some things. Listen, if we want to know the truth, here's what we've got to do. We've got to take all of what we believe and put it on the block to be tested and tried, scrutinized, examined, all of our beliefs, all of our programming, everything. We must allow it to be tested. And that's scary. You can't say that it's not scary. It can be frightening to put your most sacred beliefs up to be tested. Things that you have known to be the truth, put them up to be tested. But it's also exciting because we find that some of those things that we believe so dearly, yes, that's the truth. But also when we find new truth, something beyond what we believe to be the truth at one point, there's excitement in discovering that also. And of course there can be disappointment, but that's the risk of seeking truth, disappointment. We may be disappointed because we realize that what we were believing for so long was wrong. We followed a wrong path. We've been taught wrong. And then when we do discover truth, we come to that point where we have our best truth. We must be willing to put that best truth up for scrutiny, always to be open to all possibilities, to test those possibilities, to try them. This is why I refer to it as chasing truth, because we can never be sure that we have grasped ultimate truth, and that's okay. Sometimes it's as if we have a hold of something and it slips right through our fingers. But we can come to our best truth. Now, if we're not willing to test and to challenge our beliefs, even our most sacred beliefs, we can never be sure we're at our best truth. We may as well just go back to sleep. So most people just do not want truth. They want to be told that what they already have is the truth. Now we all know that truth will set us free, right? So what happens if we are not willing to challenge our truth? Can we consider ourselves set free? I don't think so. No, we're not free. We're in some kind of a box, some kind of a cage that we have been put in as a result of our programming. Someone has chunked a bunch of ideas down into our brain and we have decided to just go with it. Chris Christopherson wrote and Janis Joplin sang a song that I like, and it has a line in it that says, "Freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose." Well, I don't agree with that. Freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose? No. Freedom is another word for nothing left for us to challenge. We've challenged our faith, we've challenged our beliefs, and we've been set free. We have our best truth. We've challenged it all. And we continue to challenge and examine as we go along. Now, for those who follow the Bible, even the Bible expects us to challenge what we believe. The writer of 2 Corinthians challenges us. Examine yourself to see whether you are in the faith. Test yourself. Examine yourself to see if you have embraced truth or if you're stuck in some programming. One of the most surprising phenomena to me is to see certain people, smart people, educated, highly educated people, very, very smart, people with very high IQs who hold on to some beliefs that are actually absurd or unfounded. It just boggles my imagination that someone that is that smart can accept something that is so unfounded without challenging it, whether it's a religious belief or a political party's philosophy. They're not willing to chase the truth. The philosopher Socrates knew that the search for truth was the most important objective within the human race. He sought the truth himself, Socrates did, and taught the truth, and it got him in trouble. It earned him a death sentence. And at his trial, it is said that he stated, "The unexamined life is not worth living. Unexamined life is not worth living." He is saying, chase truth. Examine it. Examine it. It's a bold statement that Socrates is making in the face of a death sentence. He taught that the love of wisdom was the most important goal of humanity. Any belief that we harbor is worth nothing if it cannot stand up to a challenge. It includes religion, family, school, education, government. Question everything in your life until it rings true. Research everything until you know that you have the best truth available. Everything. I have 4 children, and I preach to them from childhood not to accept anything on its face, to even challenge the teacher with facts if need be, but don't believe something just because they're told to believe it. Now, my children really do have minds of their own, all of them. And 3 of the 4, in chasing truth, have postgraduate degrees. So chase truth. As I mentioned earlier, religion discourages us from seeking truth if it might be different from what they teach us. It doesn't matter which religion it is, or sect, or denomination. Religious institutions expect us to believe what they tell us to believe. They demand it. And I might reiterate that it has the ultimate effect of being able to control us. Karl Marx really did have a point. I rejected it all of my life, but I think he had a point when he said that religion was the opium of the masses. Because if we let it, it will tell us what to think, how to live life without examination and according to that particular religion's rules. And if we let it, religion may even tell us how to vote. Now, I certainly saw that at our last election. Religious wants to tell us how to act at the polls. Amazing. It does not want us to challenge what they deem as truth. But if our truth cannot stand up to the face of being challenged, then it is not worthy of yours and mine trust. To back this up, let me say that there have been many instances where religion has gone against fact, against truth, against science. So let's consider the truth that world's religions teach their followers. Certain people believe certain things taught by their religion, and many times they're even willing to go to war to defend what they believe just because someone told them to believe it. As a case in point, consider the Crusades. Between 1095 and 1291, the Latin Christian Church organized an actual army to go off to reconquer Jerusalem and the surrounding area from Muslim control. They armed and sent out an army. The church armed and sent out an army to kill Muslims, to fight and kill, because they were told this is what God wanted them to do. They were told to do it by their religion, and they accepted it as truth. Can you believe this? And where you are born has a lot to do with what you believe to be truth. People predominantly believe that adhere to a particular religion based upon where they were born and whose family they were born into and what their parents believed. In India, for instance, 80% of the population embraces Hinduism and only 2.3% Christianity. Vietnam predominantly embraces their own folk religion as well as Buddhism. Europe, the predominant religion is Christianity. Russia, predominantly Russian Orthodox Christianity. America, majority of Americans believe in Christianity of some flavor or another, and there are hundreds of flavors, and they have conflicting beliefs. In Brazil, it's Catholicism. The list is endless, but it supports that where you are born has a lot to do with what you're going to believe. And many times, religion goes against fact, truth, science. Galileo, some 400 years ago, under the threat of torture and death by the church, promoted the idea that the earth orbits around the sun, not the sun around the earth. The Catholic Church determined that this truth was heresy, and they threatened him, as well as Copernicus, to abandon their ridiculous ideas. But their ridiculous idea was actually the truth. 300 years later, the church admitted Galileo was right. 300 years it took for them to challenge their own truth. In the Bible, Thomas is a hero of mine. Everyone calls him Doubting Thomas, but I call him Practical Thomas. He listened after the death and the supposed resurrection of Jesus Christ. Practical Thomas listened to what the other followers had to say about Jesus rising from the dead. This one had seen him after he rose. That one had seen this small group had seen him. And he rejected all of their ideas. He said, when you're dead, you're dead. No, he didn't rise from the dead. He challenged their truth. They were convinced they had truth. He challenged it. Because he had seen Jesus hanging on the cross. He had seen him die. He had seen him suffering and taken down dead and put in a grave. And what they're telling him, that kind of thing just didn't happen. He told them, you know, unless I can see the nail prints in his hands and put my finger into his nail prints and into his side, he said, I'm not going to believe it. One day, sometime later, they're in a room together, some of Jesus' followers. Thomas is among them, and Jesus comes into the room, and he looked straight at Thomas, and he said, Thomas, here, put your fingers in my nail prints, hands, and in my side. And Thomas said, my Lord and my God. And he worshiped him. He was astounded. Now, Thomas didn't just embrace anybody's truth that come along. He challenged it until he came to the point of believing himself. Challenged the word of his colleagues. John Haywood in 1546 said, "There is none so blind as he who will not see." We can choose to see or not. I always want to choose to see, to search, to chase truth. I hope I'm faithful to that, because to me, truth matters. To a lot of people, truth matters. And there is no integrity without the honest pursuit of truth. No integrity without the honest pursuit of truth. So does truth matter? Yes, it matters to somebody. When I was in the 2nd grade, and I had an arrowhead in my pocket, truth mattered to me. And that day I lost integrity, and I learned from it. Thanks for watching.